There is absolutely no problem with the government feeding Nyerians in Sagana State Lodge. But if the effect of mchele and nyama is what this mzee is saying here, then honestly as a country, we have a bigger problem.
Nakaribishwa na chakula. Sahani mzima imejaa nyama.
Pengine uko na imani na hii serikali kwa mambo ya maendeleo?
Kabisa. Na mimi nimeombea Mungu hii serikali na nimeshukuru sana kwa yule mtu ambaye alichagua William Ruto.
Leo ni kukula.
Now, that mzee was asked about after eating, you know, and of course it was redeeming a pledge. And I'm telling you, I will not be surprised when one day Rigathi Gachagua will go back to Nyeri and told Nyerians that I promised you we will get to that state lodge and eat. And you find out, you know, I understand after that, they were expecting some cash, that place. They were expecting some cash there, some 500 shillings, you know. But immediately they were given food, the gates were locked. So those who realized that there was no money coming their way wanted to leave the venue, but they could not leave because the gates were locked. So those people, whether you were willing or not, you had to listen to what William Ruto and the leaders were saying in Sagana. You know, I see people making trivial statements on how the Sagana meeting turned a food festival. Now, that is just a by the way. This podcast, I want to answer a question that I have been receiving, and quite a number of us are asking. Is it surprising that the name Raila Odinga was mentioned, or rather has been mentioned during Mount Kenya rallies more than even the development? And why exactly would Raila Odinga name be the main agenda where William Ruto went to Mount Kenya? Why did William Ruto go to Mount Kenya with Raila Odinga's name as the agenda? I want you to answer that question. And when I analyzed about the Mount Kenya rallies, there is nothing like a tour, they are just rallies. About the Mount Kenya rallies on Wednesday last week, Thursday when that itinerary came out, I said that for those who will make a political blunder, when Mount Kenyans will make a political blunder, leaders will make a political blunder of making Raila Odinga the agenda, they shall have missed the masterclass. And in fact, they should regret, they should really regret about what exactly is going on, because the mission in the mountain, I have listened to one Ndedi Nyoro. They have been reminding people about what Ruto has done and then talking about Raila Odinga. Truth be told, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta was more unifying and gentle. Ruto looks and sounds like a rebel leader, very combative, dictatorial, and for lack of a better word, very toxic and infectious. So you draw the parallels at, even if you're delivering a message, but the whole message has been centered around Raila Odinga. These are 4 reasons, and if you become very keen, you will agree with me that these are the reasons why Raila Odinga was the topic. Number 1, the messages on government projects were flat. Very flat. You know, as a leader, when you're speaking in the podium and you realize that people are not interacting with what you are saying, then there is one problem. Either what you are saying they don't understand, or if they are understanding it, then it is irrelevant. or simply they're not buying it. So one of the challenges in messaging that Kenya Kwanza have as the moment is when there is a lot of posturing in terms of what we are doing or what we plan to do, but it's not hitting. Now, I want you to take, for example, this one about these jobs.
Tumeongea na wale wa Singapore, tumeongea na wale wa Ufaransa, na wote wamesema wako tayari vijana wetu wa Kenya wawafanyie kazi ile inaitwa digital jobs. Watu vijana wa hapa Nyeri, muko tayari kwa hiyo biashara? Muko tayari kwa hiyo kazi? Mimi nataka niwaambie tumepanga hiyo kazi kwa sababu hatutaki tena vijana wetu wahangaike madukani, wahangaike barabarani. Tunataka kuhakikisha kwamba tuko na mpango kama serikali ya kupanga ajira ya hawa vijana. Na kwa budget yetu, mimi nataka munisikize vizuri. Kwa hii budget tumepanga ya kwamba hatutaagiza tena. Ile mambo yote tunaweza kutengeneza hapa Kenya, hatutaagiza tena. Hawa vijana wa Kenya watafanya kazi hiyo. Mimi nimesema hivi, hatuwezi kuagiza tena simiti.
When you listen to that, when you listen to William Ruto speaking about the jobs, where the jobs in, I don't know, in Turkey, where, especially when you answer the question of jobs and you tell people about some online jobs in the middle of Nyeri, and you know, I challenge by saying, are you honest about it? Do you want to tell me that the youths in the middle of Nyeri that are even struggling to get Wi-Fi, you're telling them about online jobs? Because the issue about creating job, it was to be Hustler Fund, take Hustler Fund, you do business, they took the money, they never repaid. Then you took the 1.5 tax housing levy to do affordable housing, gonna create jobs. But then you went to Nyeri to tell people about some online jobs. Honestly, you know, there's some messages that even if they're to be delivered, then let Waziri deliver. Or they should be done, it should be done by some road shows. You organize road shows and train people on some online jobs. You can tell people about, you know, like doing assignments for students in other countries. And you go to Nyeri and tell people that those are jobs that your government has created. Well, honestly, those are jobs that have been there. You know, and government doesn't create them. Those jobs that have been there. So it's just about you getting good connections and you can do those jobs. You realize that the messages were flat. And the reason why the messages were flat, and I want to tie up with another point here. Pauline Njoroge realized, and people have been sharing, especially some leaders from Mount Kenya, have been sharing photos of projects that are just relaunched. 2 projects in Nyeri that were relaunched since they were also launched by Uhuru Kenyatta in 2016, but they had not been completed. So there have been a bit of relaunching. Yes, it's true. I want to agree to some extent that some of those projects were relaunched, but they stalled. But if a project stalls, do you relaunch it or just pump money and it's completed? You know, I think the most decent thing is you pump money in it. Then when it's completed, you go back and then launch a complete project. But in Kenya, you launch a project before you even get the money. So long as you have a project in your mind, you launch it. Then when it starts, it stalls. Then you again relaunch it. Then it's done. Midway, it is relaunched. Then at the end of it, it is also relaunched. You know, launching is, you know, someone was even making fun that we'll even launch SGR Afresh or even Nairobi Expressway. So that's number one. Number 2, William Ruto has realized that when you boil confrontation with Raila Odinga, you are setting an agenda and diverting the country from the real issues. I want to say this. Kenya Kwanza politicians from Mount Kenya will have big problem the moment they might realize that Raila Odinga is not going to be William Ruto's competitor. And I pray that Raila gives Kalonzo Musyoka that mantle as early as now, so that those who believe on confrontational aspect and combative aspect, those who believe that that is the only thing they will take. You know, I listened to Ndini General today was saying the way they want to put Raila in some wheelbarrow and drive him to where, and I don't know, to Bondo. I'm like, the moment we'll stop talking about Raila Odinga and convince people by what we have done, that's when we get, the people that say they want to do issue-based politics have pitched camp in Mount Kenya insulting Raila. You know, these people calling Raila Odinga's name morning to evening on top of the cars are the same people that told the country that they want to do issue-based politics. So I don't know how Raila Odinga aspect has finally become an issue-based thing. And so, the reason why they're talking about Raila is they want to divert the attention. And sometimes, I don't know what happens in Mount Kenya. Allow me use the word tugege. I don't know what tugege means. But I've always asked I don't know what it means. But I wish people get to reason along the line of, without thinking about this context. Number 3, Ruto is setting a trap for protests to resume. In fact, he will be more glad. He wants to show zero intent to cease fire. At least the protest they're saying they don't want is what they want. So that, because I wonder, when you're saying that we're going to set, and one of the conditions on ground is that you cannot call protests. Protests are not supposed to be, it's not a must they are called by Raila. It's not a must. You know, it's in the constitution. Any other civil society group, today's MP Salasya was protesting in Mumias over the poor management of Mumias sugar. Was Raila there? No. It's in the constitution. The picketing is in the constitution. So some of these things are being done intentionally for just ceasefire. 4, lastly, emotional whipping of the public. I wish we can tell the public the truth, instead of emotionally trying to create unnecessary twists and turns. Just launch. Tell people this, imagine you are launchia, itawasaidia hivi, then go there, tell them about. But if the more messaging falls flat and you feel like you have nothing to say, you've been reloading the agenda, and it's quite unfortunate. That's my bold.